Well, hey,
Hey, how's it going?
good. You want to go ahead? You want
Yeah,
to start this one?
I am so excited. We have our very first guest
Very first
who
ever.
Oh yeah,
who
let's go.
who happens to be someone very close to me. So this is my youngest son, Eden.
Howdy.
And you hear me talk about my kids a lot.
Or mini me.
Yeah, my mini me. So we're excited to have him on, and we're going to ask him some questions today that are just kind of pertaining to young adulthood and college and all of that. So thought it might be beneficial for the other mothers that are our age, and then also help guide the children that
sure.
might be making these decisions.
Yeah,
So.
for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I did try to warn Eden though that we're really professional around here with our setup, as it took us like 10 minutes to get started when we first came in here tonight. So
Listen,
we don't want him to be intimidated.
yeah, we've never claimed to be like Joe Rogan. You know, I always mention Joe Rogan because, he's one of my faves. I love him. He's so authentic.
Well, I never thought my mom could be professional, so
That
okay.
we're
I
going
got
to
the
cut
one.
that part out. Little does he know, he doesn't follow me around all day. Well, I guess to kind of kick us off, the reason that we wanted Eden to join us tonight is to kind of help everybody understand from a young person's
Yes.
perspective, not two 50-year-old biddies that like to chit chat. What it's like when you are going through the motions with your parents trying to guide you along the way, picking a
Yeah.
school, all of that. So why don't you kick us off with one of your questions?
Well, and I'll piggyback on that. We talk a lot about our kids.
Yeah.
And their life and where they are. So this is our perspective and our point of view, which can be a lot different than from a 20-year-old male or female. And, you and I did not have that going off to college experience.
Right.
So we didn't get to experience that.
That's right.
So this is kind of new for us, and we've had to figure it out along the way, probably much to your dismay and my kids too. But, hopefully this will help others that are listening and are about to go through the same things that we have had to deal with or that we are going through as well. So I can start off with the first question.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
I've just got a list here. I don't know what your mom's going to ask you. She's kind of like a fly by the seat of her pants, and I'm more prepared.
She hadn't
But,
told me anything.
Y'all, it's my husband again.
It's
He always
every,
calls during
every time we're
podcast.
recording.
So I want to know what your college experience was like. So what did a day look like for you? Because you worked, didn't
Yeah.
you? And
Yes,
you were
ma'am.
on track.
Yeah,
So, or cross country.
it's very loaded. So I worked for 2 years and I didn't work for 2 years. So
You worked your last 2 years?
I worked my sophomore year and then my senior year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I took a break in between. It really depends. I miss it, to be honest, because you could wake up at 10 a.m. or
Yeah.
when I wasn't in season, I could wake up at 10 a.m. and go to class for 2 hours a day and then come home and do nothing for the rest of the day. So it was really awesome. And, having a job's a lot different.
So your freshman year, was it a struggle for you?
No, not at all. I loved it.
So you adjusted
yeah.
fairly quickly.
Yeah. I mean, for anyone that, I'm sure you've talked about it a little bit. I'm definitely a people person.
Yeah.
I can go make friends with anyone. And I told myself whenever I went off to college, because I kind of had my group of 4 friends only in high school. And I was like, I'm going to go branch out and try to meet more people. And I did. And I would go out of my way to talk to every single person that I could. So yeah, it was pretty easy to transition from being in high school and going to college, and especially going to a place as small as UNA. For those who don't know, there's only about 10,000 students, maybe 2.5 thousand on campus. So, I mean,
really?
yeah, you can meet anyone and everyone, and nobody knew me there. So
Did you have any high school friends that went to UNA?
no high school friends. There were 2 girls from my class that went to UNA, but I mean, I would say hey to them, but
So you basically went up there
Yeah.
knowing no one.
yeah.
I also think that was kind of one of my questions is I know for you and you definitely did not feel that way by the end, but I know freshman year Eden had a little bit of FOMO. And what I mean by that is there were a lot of his friends that went off to much larger schools. So Alabama,
yeah.
Auburn, et cetera, Mississippi State. And so I know that initially that kind of was heartburn for you the
Yeah.
first semester. And then tell us kind of how you overcame that and what that was like for you.
Well, I mean, it's good to have a bunch of good friends around you. I mean, and we would take trips. My old roommate in college had a girl that he was dating at Florida State, so we went down there 2 or 3 times, and we took a weekend trip to my other roommate's friend's college in Mississippi State, and we went to an Ole Miss game, and we'd take trips to kind of get the big school feel. But when you come back and then you get back to the grind of running cross country and hanging out with your friends and sleeping in your own bed, it's pretty awesome.
Now, cross country is a spring sport, right?
It's a fall sport.
Oh, it's
yeah.
fall. Okay. So you met new friends.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much initially.
So we all moved in, and then we had a team meeting, and then I had to get in the dorm and throw all my stuff down and then go to the team meeting, and then right after that, all of our freshmen, all the class, we had 7 guys, so that's quite a lot for a cross country team. We all went to Waffle House, and we just kind of got to know each other, and it was really sweet, and a lot of personality showed out then.
Yeah. So you were in a dorm
Yes,
with how
yeah.
many other people?
I was in a dorm with one other guy, a guy named Noah that I'd met before. I knew him because he went to Scottsboro, and most runners in Alabama know each other. But yeah, everybody else was from out of state or the middle of nowhere. So
So they had a dorm room that they shared freshman year. And then he had an awesome opportunity to move to like an off campus. They kind of ran out of housing. And this was a blessing because they actually purchased or had a deal with an off-site apartment. And those apartments looked like dorms.
Yeah.
They had their own private bedroom and bath, and then you shared like a kitchen. But it was so odd because you don't see an actual apartment like that, at least not here in Birmingham, unless it's connected to, say, UAB.
Yeah.
So he was very blessed to get to move to that because they ran out of student housing. And he and 2 of the other cross country guys moved in there and had their own bedroom and bath. But then also, so he had gone from sharing one dorm room with another runner to, a nicer place.
yeah,
So
that was fantastic because we were supposed to stay in similar dorms. I would have gotten my own room in this. It would have been a 4-person, but 3 rooms. I would have gotten my own room in that one, but it's tiny and cramped and a twin bed and everything like that. And then they said, hey, do you want to go over here? And you all have your own bedroom and bathroom and a living space. And so we went 3 and 3 with with 6 of my buddies. And we just, had a lot of fun. Yeah. Having our own
It sounds
apartment.
like for you, what helped was because you were involved in cross country and that was a fall sport, you initially were able to meet people.
Yeah.
So I think that helps because not everyone is involved in a club or an activity. So I would think it would be difficult to meet new people, especially if you're more on the shy side or the reserve side, which I know you're not. But I think it still helped that you were able to meet people pretty quickly as soon as you got there.
Yeah, I knew some people that were on the quiet side and reserve side and that weren't involved in anything. And, they didn't necessarily have a great time there.
Yeah.
But one of the guys, that was my old roommate, and he's very quiet and not very social, but he was on the team. So, I mean, we're going to be friends for life,
right.
just because of that.
for me, it was really difficult for you to move out. And so I know that there's a lot of mamas that deal with that. When their children leave, it's hard, but when the baby leaves and that's the last one to leave, that's a lot harder. And so I know when you left, it was really hard. And you can be honest. Was it hard for you initially to be away from home and be away from your mom?
Well, by initially, you mean like the first month or so?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
I think that's probably true for a lot.
Well, you're on your own,
Yeah.
and it's like getting thrown into the pool when you're a kid. You just have to, learn how to adapt, and you're not really thinking about home too much, to be honest. You're just like, oh, I'm in a new place, and I live with another person in the same room. I haven't shared a room since I was 8 years old, and
I think a lot of kids your age would enjoy the freedom.
yeah,
You don't have a curfew. You don't have mom or dad breathing down your neck about grades, your school, or picking up your room. So, I mean, and it can be detrimental. I know of children
Yeah.
that, go off great kids, and that first year they struggle because they have so much freedom and they don't understand how to time manage or get up and go to class or wash a dish and clean your room, and then that can cause issues with roommates who do clean and pick up after themselves.
Well, my grades definitely did slip a little. That first semester was not pretty, but I mean, like in terms of going to class, or like you do have to look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm going to be an adult now because I live by myself, or I live away from my parents, and they're 2.5 hours away, and they're not here to hound me. So you got to pick up after yourself, and you got to be respectful and go to class.
That's a good point, though, that you make, and for other people to hear, is you have to at some point have accountability and say, I'm here and I'm blessed to be here, and if I don't go to class and I don't keep my grades up, I could be back at home, and I'm missing out on an opportunity to get my education here versus either maybe going back home and working or going to, a local school, which is fine if that's your route. But, you have to make the decision to do what you have to do to stay there for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to stay on the team. I mean, I would have gotten kicked off if I didn't, get up every morning at 5 a.m. and
So I think number one, having a really packed schedule because it was so regimented, I think that helped you too. Because like you said, I had a routine. I got up at 5 a.m. every day. I went to practice. I ran. I came home. I showered. I went to class. I think for those kids that really don't have self-discipline, and when they go off and they do have all that freedom and they're not really being held accountable by someone, and especially, like you said, a team, like that was a good driver for him to stay responsible, not to mention his mom, would kill him. But, I do think he had so much going on that it was easier for him. Even though it was a packed schedule, it was easier because it was regimented.
Yeah, right.
And you were 2.5 hours away. I knew that if something really bad happened, I could get to him. He could come home, and he did come home to see me.
It's a good distance. It's far enough away, but it's close enough.
Well, like freshman year in particular, and I'm sure she'll tell you, I came home a lot more often than I did my sophomore, junior, senior year, because, and even Cece, my grandmother on my dad's side, I used to go over there all the time because I was constantly in a room with somebody, like I wanted to get out. I want to go home and, have my own space. And like I went to see my grandmother a lot. I lived in Florence. I went home, like I didn't want to be in a space with someone all the time. And that wasn't like a knock on him or anything.
Yeah.
It's just, I want to not be in a room with someone 24/7.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I know we mentioned that you had worked. So did you work while you were doing cross country, or was that just during the spring for you?
No, so during my sophomore year, I had a job in Birmingham. Actually, I worked at a shoe store selling shoes. So I would come home, or I got the job that winter break of my freshman year. So I would work all winter, come home some weekends, spottingly, and then all summer before my sophomore year, and then spotty throughout the semester. And then I was like, I can't really do this anymore. I don't need to have this job. I make $10 an hour. I can do that up here somewhere.
Yeah.
And then I didn't work for a year because junior year is the year you really have to kind of lock in on your grades and stuff like that, and which I did a little bit. But
You still did DoorDash.
yeah, I did that just in my spare time to have spending money.
Well, that gives you some flexibility
Yeah,
too
for sure.
when you do
And
that.
you can do that for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
At 8 o'clock, and you'll be fine.
I just think from my point of view, from a parent's point of view, I don't know how kids do it. I don't know how they have a full schedule, work, and be involved in some sort of extracurricular activity. Because just from my experience, and again, I mean, I went to college on and off throughout my 20s and early 30s, but I also had a child and I worked full time. But I don't think I personally could have juggled the freedom going to class, studying, working, and being on some sort of team in college. So I'm always very impressed with the kids that can handle it.
Yeah. My senior year, I got a job because I had stayed in Florence that summer before my senior year, and I got a job at Target because I was like, I have to do something with my time. I'm running in the morning, and then I'm doing nothing for the rest of the day besides playing video games or just hanging out with my buddies. But I needed some sort of cash flow, so I started working at Target. I would say probably 20-ish hours a week, just in the evening, like 4 to close, which was like 4 to 10 or 4 to 12 or whatever, and then on the weekends, and an afternoon shift or something like that. But my senior year, it's kind of easier than what you make it out to seem, because my senior year in cross country, I really stunk. So so I wasn't really devoted to cross country as much. And I didn't really do anything outside of working or going to school or running, besides like hanging out with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Melissa.
Oh, it's my birthday
yeah,
today?
yeah.
Oh, happy birthday.
Just told me to shout her out. So. But yeah, I didn't really do much outside of hang out with her, go get food or something like that. So yeah, I was pretty grounded. My day was busy though.
Well, she's a sweetie, by the way. I got to meet her.
It's very nice.
When we went to, what game was it that we all went to?
Alabama and Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Monroe. So.
And we were holding our breath on that one since Saban lost the first meeting that I recall. Yeah.
They did have General Booty at quarterback.
They did have General Booty.
General Booty, I forgot all about that.
Yeah, I even though, again, you said I didn't do much.
Yeah.
It's still a lot.
Yeah,
it's a packed schedule, but I'm very proud of you for sticking it out and running all 4 years cross country.
So something I was thinking about, and I don't know that people really think about this until the last minute, but do you have advice for like move-in day or the week leading up to move-in day? Because I think for moms, it's so emotional. And you're trying to get yourself prepared mentally, and you're also trying to prepare for the day, for, the just getting there and getting everything in, and like just the order of the day. And then you parents come crashing down, and it's just such an emotional time at the end of the day. But as a student, what advice would you give for those that are preparing to go off to college and for moving day?
So most schools, I know, at least UNA does, have a move-in time slot. So everybody's not trying to move in at the exact same time. You can pick a day weeks in advance and pick a time. So I would get early. I would try to go early, get everything in. Just don't worry about the order. Get everything in, and the student can unpack later or whatever. Just throw it all in the dorm. Go spend the day together, because then it'll kind of, you're not just kind of leaving from the dorm room and getting all emotional. But I would spend the day together in your college town or wherever you are, and
Interesting.
Just
Is that
enjoy
what
it.
y'all did?
No.
No.
No, that's not that's your advice. Okay.
So I will say this, and I had been building it up because I knew I was going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
I did very well. I controlled my emotions, even driving home. But one thing that we wanted to do, my mom went with me. We took Eden. We were, getting all of his stuff together, doing our best to get as much put up as we could, because there's a tiny little room with just 2 beds.
Right.
And we didn't want to have all this mess for when his roommate came later and we're all on his bed and on his side. That just wasn't appropriate. So we did as much as we could, putting together the little bathroom cabinet or shelf or whatever, and me trying to get his bed made up and all that. And so I will say, and I don't have experience at other universities, but I will say UNA had it down to a science. They had these huge yellow rollers like you would see at a commercial laundry, like for a big hotel. They had those. They met you at the car. You loaded everything out of 2 cars in that. They took it up to the dorm for you up through the freight elevator, and we got everything out. I mean, we were actually moved in about 30 minutes.
Yeah, we've been
With everything
for
in
sure.
your dorm.
It was
Yeah.
so fast. I was not anticipating it. I mean, I wore tennis shoes, leggings, everything. I was ready to be lifting,
Yeah.
going up and down stairs, all of that. It was so easy. And so I would highly recommend, making sure that you're organized. But we put everything together. I had actually made, just upon recommendation from another parent, almost like a little Ziploc bag full of just medicine, like aspirin, Pepsid, Pepto-Bismol, just stuff to like get him by if there was any kind of medical
Definitely used
emergency.
it. Definitely used it.
And so I had it in the back, and I realized after we had unloaded, gotten everything done, we went back to our car, I saw that little baggie in the back and realized, oh my gosh. So I called Eden, and he answered the phone and I said, hey, I see that your, little medical bag or whatever's down here with your Band-Aids and whatever. I said, do you want me to run it back up, or do you want to run down and get it? And he's like, nah, I'll just get it later. He said, I'm already in so-and-so's dorm. Like he had already just started, he had already figured it out. And so I think that helped, because I was able to drive away and not think about him just sitting in his dorm, which I knew better.
Right.
But, I didn't cry the whole way home. I held it together really good, really well. But, anyway, I think being prepared as a parent, you don't know how you're going to react, but you don't need to react in front of your child.
Yeah.
And so I definitely didn't. And, didn't want to make him feel bad.
So did you like put stuff on your walls and do the bedding and all that?
We had
Was that like stressful for you? Is that why you say just spend the day together, or you just don't want mom there decorating the room?
no,
that
you
would deal with?
just want them to go home with a smile on their face and not feel like it was so rushed.
Yeah.
And that you don't have time for them or anything. But
That's interesting. I don't know what I expected you to say and how to answer that, but I don't think it was how you answered
get
it.
in, throw it, and leave.
Yeah. Because I know when we moved in Brooklyn, her freshman year in Alabama, she lived in a dorm. And I was wanting to like unpack and like put her stuff up. And
No.
we had it thrown everywhere. Like it looked like a tornado had been in her room. She was like, just go, I'll do it later. And I'm just thinking, what? It just looked awful. Like I wanted to stay and have everything unpacked before I left. And she just wanted us to just go.
Yeah.
And
No,
she would worry about it later.
it definitely keeps you busy at like nighttime, because for the next week I was still situating things. I mean, unpacking boxes, or
Yeah.
I organized my clothes, so I was doing that for the rest of the week. And
Well, gosh, I'm going to be thinking about that because now I don't get a do-over.
Yeah.
So that's how I was with Brooklyn. But with Blake and Will, so Blake and Will live in an apartment like
Right.
a block and a half from campus. But it's considered off campus. But with both of them, like I stayed. We unpacked. We put things on the wall. We had everything in order. And it, with Blake, it was like a day and I was gone. With Will, I was there for the weekend. And he was like, why are you staying the weekend?
Yeah.
It's like we have things to do, So I think it was a little much for him. But I don't know. I guess maybe I just felt like if I wasn't there to get it done, it wasn't going to get done. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like, who cares?
Yeah.
But in the moment, it's hard for some of us moms to just let it go and think about those boxes like still sitting there unpacked
Yeah.
a month later.
it depends on the kid too.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I got in trouble a few times because I was being too loud, because I used to reorganize my room all the time because I just wanted it to like be clean or neat or look different or something like that. So I would move furniture at 2 a.m. and I'd be
Yes.
dragging it on the floor upstairs. And yeah, I don't do that anymore. But
Funny.
but yeah, I'm a neat guy, so I feel like she trusts me to get it done within the week.
Okay, so now I'm going to move on kind of to like post college.
Right.
Because I think this can be difficult for parents and the kids if they have to move back home. Which you did. You decided to move back home instead of stay up there and work. You're working here.
Right.
So what was your transition like for you moving back home? Were you apprehensive about it? Were you excited? Or like, what was your mindset when you had to move back home after being on your own for 4 years?
Yeah. Well, I go up there all the time because my girlfriend's still up there in school for another year. And, you know, I come home and I'm depressed because I'm like, you know, it feels like I'm in school again and I can just walk upstairs and go to bed whenever I'm over at their house or something like that. But my transition was extremely fast. I graduated on May 10th and I started my job on May 12th. So I moved home that Saturday after graduation that morning and packed up the car in the rain, drove home Mother's Day Sunday. So I still had boxes on the ground and then went to work the next morning. So I felt like there were way more opportunities here in Birmingham, and I was very fortunate. I absolutely love my job. So I felt very fortunate that I was able to move home, and I'm blessed enough to have someone that'll put up with me in their house and for free, might I add. Thank you.
Because sometimes it can be an adjustment for the parents because I don't know if you had a curfew during high school. I assume he did. I don't know. But when you're off
Decent hour.
for 4 years, you do what you want when you want. And then you come back home with mom, and there may be some old rules she wants to hang on to.
Well, there's still, he does what he wants when he wants.
Well, that was my other question, because that's not the case for everyone. So it can be a hard transition for some people.
Well, at this point, the only rule is,
Pick up after yourself.
take care of the dogs, pick up after yourself, and, don't mess up big time somehow. Luckily enough, I'm sensible and she trusts me enough to, most of the things that I want to do are safe and are not going to cause any harm to anybody or anything like that. So I'm very blessed. And there are some parents who their kid is going to be perfect and great, and they're still going to be on their butt 24/7.
Yeah.
So I'm very lucky to have someone that trusts me and stuff like that. So I can kind of use my own discretion, and she knows that she raised me to not do dumb things.
Yeah,
so.
I think that helps when you can trust your child to do what he needs to do or she needs to do, and vice versa.
Yeah. Well, and they come home and they might come home for the summer for a little bit, which he didn't his senior year, but they might come home or they might be home for winter break or whatever. Eden has always been very socially active.
Yeah.
He's always gone with friends and let's go play pickleball. Let's go play soccer. Let's play basketball. Let's go for a run. He's always doing something. And so, I've always trusted him to do whatever, just be an adult. If you're going to act like an adult and run and do whatever, be an adult. And he's also very lucky. I'm bragging on myself for a minute. I'm not a mother that breathes down his neck. I'm really not. I just want to know, if you're not going to be home, please let me know so I don't think you're dead in a ditch somewhere, right? That's the worst feeling in the world, is to wake up at 4 a.m. and roll over and realize somebody's not in the house.
Exactly.
That's scary.
Right.
So that's all I've ever asked. Honestly, we're really good roommates. We communicate about, hey, I need you to take care of the dogs on this day. I travel a lot for work, so he's got the house to himself some. I have the house to myself when he's gone to see his girlfriend or his friends that are still up there. And so I think we have a really good situation. I think I probably should demand a little bit more from him as far as around the house, because I just do it because I'm going to do it regardless. But other than that, as long as he's being respectful of my home and respectful of me having to get up and go to work and things like that. I mean, I'm very low key compared to a lot of parents that I know.
For those listening, it's important, and I'm speaking to myself on this too. they're different than when they graduated high school. You're 4 years older. You've matured more.
Yeah.
You've got more responsibilities. You're working, and so I think communication would be a huge deal. And if that's something that you have, like if you have to sit down and have a conversation on the couch one night and say, okay, you're more than welcome to move back home, but let's talk about some things.
Right.
And I think if there's a mutual respect, it helps. But if you're going out and you're coming in at 3 and 4 in the morning, and that's something that your
Right.
mom doesn't want you to do. Now, some parents may not care. I personally would care.
Right.
And so I think that can be the struggle sometimes for me, I feel like I would think, I know that you're an adult, but you still can't come in my house at 3 and 4 in the morning.
Right.
Right.
And so it's juggling giving them the responsibility, but yet there has to be some sort of respect and rules and boundaries because at the end of the day, it's multiple adults living in a household.
That's
and
right.
You can always butt heads
Yes.
with multiple adults because I'm grown. You think you're grown. And, if you work, you might have the mindset of, well, I work, I'm paying my bills. I'm paying for my car or my insurance. I can do what I want. And I think you can easily butt heads in that situation.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, to add to your point of like coming home at 3 or 4 a.m., since I've moved out of the house, I think I've done that once. And like, it's not something, it's obviously an expectation not to come home at 4 in the morning, but I've never been really that kind.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go out and have fun, I'm going to stay with my buddy that, invited me out there or, whatever it is. But yeah, obviously there's a mutual tone of respect there.
Or people that you have over or just leaving messes around the house. I think there has to be certain rules. And if you can, on both ends, abide by that, and for parents to give their child a little bit more grace and a little bit more freedom because they are older, and in your case, you're working. And then for the child to understand that at the end of the day, it's the parent's home.
Yeah.
And we also have to be respectful too. So I think that's something important. It's just so hard for kids these days. It's so expensive to be out on your own, especially right out of college. I don't see how anybody does it.
I can't afford it right now unless
It's
you.
a lot different than when we were your age.
I was gonna say unless you get a really nice job as an engineer, or you're going to medical school or something like that, and you're just out of, you have a big boy job, but I certainly don't make enough to have an apartment and live the way I want to.
And really, that's the way it's supposed to be, kind of. Like, we've talked about this before. When we were Eden's age, you rented because it was cheaper than getting a mortgage. And it's not like that
not
today.
now.
It's reversed. And it's kind of messed up. And we could work a full-time job and maybe have a roommate, and pay rent, and you still pay for your car. And I honestly, I cannot figure out the math on how kids do it today.
Yeah, we were actually talking about that on the way over here. I'm not going to put a number on it, but me and a guy from work were looking at an apartment that's kind of right near the office, and that was $1,800 a month
For 2 bedrooms.
Yeah, 2 bedrooms.
That's crazy.
It was pretty large. It was like 1,700 square feet. It's pretty crazy.
And that's just rent.
Yeah.
So that's almost $1,000. So
Right.
it's $900 plus
fees.
power,
Right.
water, internet. If you have cable or YouTube or, Netflix or
Right.
whatever.
And I have a pet now, and everybody's charging for that.
Right. Right.
You do have to eat. So you have to have groceries. He has, a
Gas,
car,
insurance. Yeah.
It's
a lot.
And so, I probably as a parent have held the bicycle seat, as I like to say, a little bit longer, and paid for cell phones and car insurance and stuff, a lot longer. And I want them to have a really good start. I want them to be on the runway and take off and not bobbling around. And, that can be good and that can be bad. You can enable someone and you can, but I want to make sure, he got a college education. We paid for a lot of his college education. and he did have a small academic scholarship, but there's still a student loan that's outstanding that's got to be paid, and, you know, a very small one, but, you know, that compounds interest and all
Right.
of that. So it's very expensive to get somebody off the ground. And so you really want them to be able to sustain themselves. And, you know, we've talked about this before. I had a place to go, you
Right.
know, if I failed.
Right, yeah.
And I have failed in my life and had to move home.
Yeah,
and that
same,
was, you know,
same.
terrible. But it is something that you have to do. And you're grateful looking back that you had somewhere to go. You know, I am the somewhere to go now. So, you know, not that my children ever want to stay with me forever, but they would have a place to
Right.
lay their head. They're not going to be
Yeah.
homeless.
There's a security blanket.
There's
for
a
them.
security blanket, and whether they love it and would want to live there, you know what? At least you have four walls and a roof, right? You would have somewhere to put your head down, and you're not going to be starving as
Right.
long as I have a breath. But at the end of the day, you know, at some point, I'm going to let go of that, you know, seat,
Yeah.
and he's not going to be able to pay the kind of money that he just talked about in working the job that he's working.
Right.
Not that his job is not good. He's doing well out of college, but it's just things are so astronomical. It just costs a lot of money to live.
Well, in my line of work as well, experience is key. So like once you start building up a clientele, I work in sales. Once you start building up a clientele, then the money starts rolling
Yeah, it
in.
takes time.
So I feel like as I go along, I'm definitely going to be able to incur more of those payments, like my cell phone and my car insurance, and, you know, eventually helping pay back those student loans and stuff like that, and having my own place. But like at this point, like the wages and the way that
Yeah.
the inflation in this country is crazy.
Well, and you got to save money.
Yeah.
You know, I think we've kind of touched on this before, but it's such a struggle because as a parent, you want to put your kids on a path that was better than yours. And if you can do it, some parents can afford to do it, and some parents may can afford and just don't. They want their children to learn, you know, there's a million scenarios out there.
Right.
But I think for me personally speaking, if I can put my kids on a path where they're not starting out in the pit, digging out of a hole, you know, in debt, where we can just live simply.
Yeah.
And if that's coming back home, whether it's rent free or $500 a month, you know, just something to kind of get you on your feet, and then for the child to understand. At your age, I was very hard headed,
Right.
and I was going to learn the hard way. So I always try to encourage for young people just to listen for a second.
Right.
Don't say anything. Just listen to the advice that you're being given, and try to take it.
Right.
And
Try to
it's your
absorb it.
Exactly. And I probably wouldn't have, and that's on me. But, you know, for the child to understand, if I can just, you know, I'll move back home for a year or two, save money, and then that gets you on your feet for a down payment for a house,
Right.
or you've got an emergency fund. Because if you if you go right out into the world,
Yeah.
and you try to, you know, buy a house or pay $1,000 rent plus everything else, you're struggling from the get-go. And I guess there's nothing wrong with that if that's your path. But it's a struggle. And it's also hard. We've talked about social media before. When you see what everyone else is doing,
Yeah.
what this mom is doing or what this kid is doing, and then you question your decision on if you're making the right decision.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn, the older that I get, is I got to do what's good for me and for my family. And
Yes.
everyone's situation is different.
That's right.
Everyone coming back home, the situation is different. Going off to college, the situation is different.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think you've just got to do what's best for you and your family.
Yeah.
And-
Find your own way.
Exactly.
I
And
mean,
not worry about what anybody else thinks about it.
that's right. And somebody asked me one time, you know, how best do you learn? Do you learn by someone telling you, reading it, hands on? And I said, usually the hard way. That's how I learned. Is, you tell me to go right, I'm going to go left because I know better. And then when I beat my head up against the wall
you're stuck
15
in a
times,
ditch.
then I'll back up and try to go straight. And then I realize eventually I got to go right. And,
Right.
it was very, very hard. And it was a struggle for me. I mean, I moved out really early and, then I had an apartment and my roommate and I had a car payment, insurance,
Yeah.
all of that.
You had a positive experience moving back home.
Right.
And I think you see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Like, this is best for me right now.
Yeah.
I can make some money. I can save a little bit. I can, I don't know what bills you're paying, whether it's your car or whatever, but it also kind of eases the child into, okay, I've got to pay for this. I'm paying for this. And then what's left over. And if you want to move out, the extra expenses that you're going to have. And so you're kind of eased into it. So,
Just adding to that, I've been living the way I wanted to since I moved home because I'm like, steady stream of income. Let me go eat out every single meal.
right.
And the only bill I have is my car payment, which I'm very lucky. I was very lucky to get the deal I got on my car payment. It's only about $350, $375.
Because who helped negotiate that?
Yeah,
I'm negotiating.
it was her old job.
It's my services are available if anybody's interested.
But yeah, this is kind of getting me to where I'm like, I should probably budget myself.
That's right.
And obviously, like once business starts picking up, I'm on a low base salary for a reason. It's to incentivize me to work.
Sell more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like honestly, in today's economy, if in a year and a half or if I'm a year from now and I see the light at the end of the tunnel, I might as well live at home until I buy a house. There's going to be no point in renting if I'm paying $1,000 in rent a month. I'm just going to be digging myself a hole, to where it just pushes me further to not owning property or anything.
And I think
like that.
sometimes our generation, we remember what it was like when we were your age and things were just cheaper. I know every generation says that and it's always true. But I think if you really compared it, honestly,
Seen some crazy.
to when we were your age versus now, it is a lot more expensive to be out on your own.
Yeah.
I can only imagine with social media and just the way things are today, you're comparing yourself to everyone else and you see what everyone else has. But you don't know if they're racked up in debt with everything that they have. And so I really try to tell my boys, you can't worry about what anyone else has.
Of course.
You have your whole life ahead of
Yeah.
you. And so does he. And, you need to start off as a 23-year-old. When you buy your first home, it needs to look like a 23-year-old bought that home. And you need to live within your means. And who cares what your friends' houses look like or their cars look like? Because your income may not be the same. Your debt may not be the same. And you've got to start off, and I've learned this the hard way, you've got to start off living within your means. And then it's less stress and you can save. And as the years go on, you're able to build and accrue your worth where those friends that were in debt up to their eyeballs at 22 are still up to their eyeballs in debt when you're not.
For sure.
And you've got to look at the bigger picture.
I would say, what advice do you have for other people in your situation that are graduating from college and moving back home? Like, what are some advice that you can give them to help them adjust and also how to deal with, being in your parents' home?
Right. Well, this is kind of my main gripe with other people in our generation. You just got to put your head down and you can't be like, oh, today at work sucked. It's like, because tomorrow's going to suck too. And then the day after that for another 50 years. Of course you can love what you do, but you've just got to push through and you've just got to make light out of the things that you can in your life. And if you're moving home from college and you're like, I don't know what to do, I don't have any friends here, I moved back in with my parents, or I moved to a completely new city, it's just open your horizons and pick up a hobby, because there are going to be people that do that hobby in your area or something like that. I used to despise running clubs, and I went to a run club on Tuesday because I just wanted to get out of the house and not run by myself. So, yeah, I would say definitely find something that you like to do and occupy your time with it, because life's a grind, and if you're going to be doing it, I've told my coworkers that are 24 and 25, I'm still waiting for like summer vacation to happen. I'm going to get 3 months off, and that's not how it works.
It's right.
So,
It's real life. Yeah. Well, I think that's important. Is it's a healthy way for you to adjust, meet new people, pick up a hobby, because that is life. And you will have ups and downs for sure, no matter what. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do. So, yeah, I think that's great. Is there anything? Why am I going to get upset?
Don't get upset.
I always get upset. I'm the one that gets upset. So is there anything that you want to say to your mom? Okay, let me put this down. This is emotional. Is there anything that you want to say to your mom on what her part was in your 4 years off at college?
okay. I'm not a sappy guy by any means, but I'm just gonna tell like I see it. I'm just glad that you raised me, right enough and taught me some sense to where you trusted me, and hoped that I would do the right things. And sometimes I did the right things, and I'm just glad you trusted me enough, and you love me enough because I did mess up one good time, and I told you about it that night, and and yeah, I'm just glad you raised me with some sense, and you love me enough to trust me to do what I was supposed to do. And you got to be able to see the work you put in, and that's the time that she saw it. Through growing up, she put all the work into raising me and my brother, and she saw it there. And Cade's now a hardworking guy, and we both messed up a few times, and now we're right as rain.
Well, and there are always going to be bumps in the road, and it's so important when you can trust your parent or your mom to be able to go to her and say, "Listen, I have screwed up royally,"
Right?
Because not every child feels that way.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you can go to her and say, "This is what's happened," and her to then respond to you. I don't know how she responded, but in a way that you were able to work it out and come together and resolve. And I think it's so important for there to be support on the parents' end. And again, I speak for myself because, you don't want your child to have to come to you with bad news or to be in a situation. And so we worry as moms. Whether it's a boy or a girl. And so when you're off for 4 years, we worry.
Yeah.
So I know it's important to have supportive parents and also to be able to have children that we, for the most part, trust. And is going to do the right thing when they're off for 4 years. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you how she handled it. I don't really care to talk about it. I got a
you don't have to.
You don't have to.
I got a ticket for something when I was 18, and I was like, "Well, Mom, this happened," and she was like, "You idiot."
I don't think I said you idiot.
Well, but then past that, or she was like, "Eden," and then past that, it was just okay. What can we do about it? What can we do next? And but it's not like she yelled at me for 30 minutes.
No,
because that's what prevents your kids from parents that just meet you with nothing but harshness or something like that create sneaky kids.
Yeah. Well, I can say I've always tried to be supportive of my kids, and that doesn't keep me from calling them out and saying, this is a ding-a-ling thing that you did, and here's what we're going to do to fix it. But I have always tried to be supportive, and he's right. Seeing the fruit of that labor now is what makes it so sweet, is that I've mentioned on this podcast before, you go from they're tiny babies and they depend on you every second. The only thing you're not providing for them is air. You are changing diapers, their clothes, you're putting them to bed, you're feeding them. And as they continue, they depend on you 24/7 for everything. You can't even set them down and leave the room.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it becomes the terrible twos and the terrible threes, and they're pitching fits and they want to have their own autonomy, but you can't let them because they'll run out in traffic, that kind of thing. And so as every parenting phase has its own challenges and its own rewards. The cutest thing to see the little toothless grin for the first time, or them getting an award in kindergarten, those kind of things. But as they grow, you go from being the shield and the cover, which that's where I shine. I'm always going to be the protector, always. Right now, I would go fight a grizzly bear for either one of my kids. That's my thing. But you go from that to kind of guiding them as much as you can and hoping that you've raised them right. And then you get to become friends. And then then you have a roommate who stinks, So it's just a different phase of life.
Yeah.
We laugh about it at work because I call her my roommate.
Yeah. Yeah. And he tries to set me up with his coworkers.
That's hilarious. I've heard some stories.
Hey, this guy makes a ton of money, so
He's like, I'm okay. I think he hadn't even shown him a picture yet. Like, he didn't do the hard sell.
Yeah.
He's just like, hey, my mom's single.
It was like, I'm good.
I'm like, this is a little strange for your son to be. That's my last question is, what is that like for you to move back home now to a mom that's single, and you're more of a parent to me now? Like, he's jerking on
You
the
find
door.
yourself being protective.
Yeah.
yeah. When because she had a period where she was kind of just like, I'll date again, and went on a few dates, and I'm sure you've been updated and stuff, and y'all have been updated.
I have.
But it's more of like I'd rather you find your person,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I'm not going to live on forever, and Nash is good to you, but he won't be here forever. So.
Nash is my dog. by
Yeah,
the way.
Nash is our dog. But yeah, I mean, just hoping you find your person, whether that be now or later.
Well, I know moms and boys have a special relationship, but I think the older you get, isn't it interesting though? Like, the more protective you find yourself being of your mom, or you maybe, I don't know if you worry, but you kind of worry about her future and her happiness.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
You kind of get a glimpse of what it's like to be a parent.
Well, I think the way that a son is over his mom is the exact way that she was over him whenever he was a kid, and the way that he was raised, and the way that like you view her relationships and stuff like that whenever you're a kid. So obviously mom is, like she said, she'd fight a bear over me. So I'd do the same.
And I'll close out with a funny story because, I always have a funny story. So a couple of months back for my birthday, and it wasn't on my birthday, but for my birthday, a good friend of mine, she knew that I wanted to go to this wine tasting. And so she bought us tickets. And so I may have mentioned this on the podcast.
No, I think you just told me.
But I'll tell the actual story. So, and I don't want to give away like where it was and all that, just for reasons, because we don't have like anything trademarked and all that. I don't want to be talking about somebody, but this was a local restaurant that had a wine tasting. Well, I had been to this local restaurant before with that same friend, actually, for like a Friday night happy hour kind of thing. They have great food. They had tons of appetizers. You could get regular plates. Like, it wasn't like they didn't have food. Okay. So I say all that to say she bought tickets for me to go to this wine tasting. Well, her husband came along. They drove separate, met me there, and the sign said closed for a private event, like 6 to 8 or whatever it was, for the wine tasting. Well, that meant they didn't have any food. Well, I had not eaten. So they give us 6 glasses of wine, and it's pretty big pours.
Yeah.
It's not like the little tiny that you sip and spit in a bucket. And then they gave us these cheeses. Well, the cheeses were like that big, and there were like 6 of them. So you would eat a little piece of cheese and drink the wine, and it glared, and you wrote all the notes, and they were telling me about the region it came from, and all I heard was blah, 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 blah. But anyway, after about 6 glasses of wine, or maybe 5, I was like trying to eat cheese off somebody else's plate. I had not eaten, and I was feeling it. And so they had driven separate. So I said, I'm going to have to Uber. I'm going to have to call my kids, or you're going to have to drive me home. Like, I can't drive, like, not in this condition. But anyway, it was a big debacle, but he jerks open the door like he's my dad. He's like, where have you been? And I'm like, well, she took me to a wine tasting. And he goes, looks like you did more than taste it. So that's kind of the relationship that we have, where, there's a lot of mutual respect and all of that there. But now he's kind of taken on the parent role a few times. And, Mom, are you going on a date? Who are you going with? Who are you meeting? What are you doing? So
I think this has been a really good episode. I think it's going to be helpful for some that are listening. It's been helpful for me. I mean, it's given me things to even think about, especially on how we respond to our children when they mess up.
Yeah.
I can be a little tough on my kids.
Right.
But I have my reasons. So anyway, well, I really appreciate you being willing to do this.
Yeah.
It was not on your bingo card to do your mom's Mom Bods and Margaritas podcast.
Well, this was a favor, so there's that mutual
Did you get
respect.
bribed to do this?
No. Just margaritas.
he'll try to cash it in later. Don't worry.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on and talking.
Yeah,
to us
awesome.
and,
Thank you for having
being
me.
our first guest. I mean, you just made history.
You did. You're the first.
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
All
Thank you.
right. Well, I guess we will see y'all next week.
All right.
So,
bye.
bye.